Whether you know about investing or not, already inflation is working against you. Unfortunately, people lose money. I've seen doctors. The most I've seen was someone who lost about 1.2 million pounds. And this was in a live conference. Somebody who lost 60K felt better about themselves. By the way, that lady I talked about last year, that she lost 60K in the last 3 years ago, investing in different stuff. She's now started investing. She attended the investment masterclass last year, the 4 weeks program. If you're a doctor or healthcare professional and you're worried about investing, and you get confused about investing and things, you worry that it's risky and you worry that you lose money, but you know that you should be investing, and you don't understand concept. When you hear things like ISA, stock and shares ISA, it gets you confused. Then you want to watch this video. This video is a live recording of a live Q&A session with almost 100 doctors and healthcare professionals with burning questions around investing, lifetime ISA, investments that doctors could do even above 40 years of age, as well as how to avoid the dreaded 60% tax trap, and much more. So if you're interested in those topics and you like to hear the answers we discussed and the questions that we addressed, then you want to dive into this video. And if you're new here, I'm Dr. Andy Egwim, founder of MoneyWiseDoctor.com. I'm an ex-salaried GP, an entrepreneur and investor, and on MoneyWiseDoctor.com, we help doctors and healthcare professionals make smarter financial decisions. Dive in. If you're not an investor already, if you haven't started investing, can you tell me in one word what is stopping you? Or you can use more than one word. What's stopping you in terms of, is it knowledge, is it the fear, or not knowing where to start or what to invest in? Knowledge, okay. Lack of knowledge. Yeah, OBD said knowledge. Justy said lack of knowledge. Uncertainty, fear of losing money. Fair enough. Adebayo said fear of losing money. Okay. Yeah, capital. Henry said capital. That's an interesting one. We're going to look at it because a lot of times, okay, lack of knowledge. A lot of time people say capital, and I think, well, my first investment was 1,000 naira. For those of you from Nigeria, you know, 1,000 naira. Well, it was money, but it wasn't a lot of money back then. About almost 21 years ago. Okay. Excellent. So I'm just going to jump right in now. We've had enough time to warm up. I'm Dr. Andy Egwim. I'm the founder of MoneyWise Doctor. If it's our first time of meeting, I'm delighted to meet you. I started MoneyWise Doctor 2 years ago, and that was about 2-3 months after leaving my salary job when I achieved what people would call financial independence and retire early. So I still don't own a Ferrari or a Bugatti, and I still don't fly a private jet. I'm like a regular bloke. The only difference is that I decide what I want to do. I've got like total time freedom. I think the last time I was in a regular job was December 2022. It's nice to have that time freedom, but at some point, the first 2 months, it started being a bit depressing. You know, you wake up, I called it SAD, SAHD, stay at home dad. It's not bad, but you wake up and you say, oh, let's go to the beach. Oh, I'm at work. You want to ring this person. Oh, I'm at work. All your friends are out. And I became restless. So I started MoneyWise Doctor, which was just building on some things I've been doing in the past. You must have seen something I shared today about inflation. The inflation rate has gone up again. Basically, it's gone up quite high this time around. And I shared something. I said, what cost £50 in 2015? So I came to UK around 2015. What cost £50 now costs £68. The same £50. So it's a big change in purchasing power. And if you're a doctor, you're earning 100K or you're earning 120, 130, and you're still feeling poor. It's part of it is because the money that you're earning now is not what it used to be. So there's something called inflation, which I've mentioned. Basically, is when the prices of goods are going up, but your money can't buy. I want us to discuss things in lay terms because I spent the last 3 days with London Institute of Banking and Finance. And we're talking about the big terms, but inflation is basically you have £100. You could buy this 10 years ago. Now, if you want to buy the same thing, you need 68. You need more than 136 pounds. Has any of us experienced that quite recently? Has anyone noticed? Okay, I can say yeah, but okay, if you have experienced, can you give me a thumbs up? Have you noticed that when you go to buy stuff? Okay, CC has experienced it. Raphael, it's quite a lot of us. Excellent. So I'm talking to the right crowd here. So the implication of that is if you leave your money just lying in a bank account, if you leave your money in a bank account without doing anything about it, the value is simply going to go down over time. We're going to have time for questions. I'm just going to go through the presentation and then we'll take questions. So that's why, whether you know about investing or not, already inflation is working against you. And doctors, we are very good in working hard. We think, okay, what we're going to do is that we're going to work hard, do an extra shift, we'll invest in this, we'll do that. And unfortunately, people lose money. I've seen doctors. I think the most I've seen was someone who lost about 1.2 million pounds. This is a doctor. And you know, you know how, and this was in a live conference. I was speaking in the conference, and when he said other people would look like somebody who lost 60K felt better about themselves. By the way, that lady I talked about last year, that she lost 60K 3 years in the last 3 years ago, investing in different stuff. She's now started investing. She attended the investment masterclass last year, the 4 weeks program. She started a very sensible investing plan. I plan to have her on the podcast. She understands everywhere she made a mistake. But boy, it wouldn't have been nice not to have lost the 60K in the first place. So we're all about common sense, building a foundation, making sure your risk approach, you have your risk management in place. One of you said risk management is how you look at investing. And then when you start investing, you're not getting too worried or panicked. For instance, when the market is crashing, some people are selling, while people like us are sort of going into the ruins and looking for bargains, because that's the best time, a lot of time to buy. And there are people that their strategy will not be that way. Your strategy might be, I don't care what the market is doing. I'm just going to put a certain amount into the market at a certain time every month, and I'm just going to compound into an index fund. And after 20 years, I know that I'm going to perform very well based on historical data. 7. There are 7 steps to take before you even start thinking of investing as a doctor or healthcare professional. Now, this is really important to secure your financial foundation before you start investing. Now, I've covered these 7 steps in a simple guide that I've made available for you in the link in the description. You can download it. It will help you to build a solid financial foundation, avoid common investing mistakes, and also make tax-efficient investment decisions. Start your investment journey the smart way. Download the guide now using the link in the description, and good luck on your investing journey. Now let's get right back to the episode. So does anyone here know, if you've attended a previous event, a seminar, does anyone here know any of the 7 steps I suggest before you start investing? Anyone who knows, could just, okay, no one, okay, that's fine. I think there must be 1 or 2 people.
Yes, getting an emergency fund.
Wow, okay, excellent, Julius. I love that. So you get an emergency fund, okay.
Financial health assessment.
Financial health assessment, excellent. I can see Savannah said have an emergency fund. Okay, so we already know these things. The question most times, someone said to me, it's not about the knowledge, it's about practicalizing it, putting in practice. And that is part of why we have things like accountability. We have the financial coaching program. We have a community where you see people every day. They're talking about their finances. They're learning about tax changes and all that. So there are 7 steps, and I'm just going to run through them. Number 1, obviously, in the 7 steps we suggest before you start investing, 1 is to invest in yourself first, which is what you're doing here. You're attending an investment seminar, you're investing the time. I know some of you have actually gone in to do our 4 weeks deep dive program that turns you from zero investor to become an experienced, not experienced per se, but get your good grasp on investing. But basically, some of you have actually bought books, you've done different things. That is called investing in yourself. That's number 1. Now, number 2, we say conduct a personal financial audit. I think someone in my team will find a link to a personal financial audit. Basically, it's a scorecard. It will tell you where you are. It's a financial audit, financial health quiz for medics. You can go through it. It takes you 3 minutes, and it walks through, okay, where are you at the moment? And is there something you need to fix before you even start thinking about investing? Number 3 step is build an emergency fund. We've said it again and again. You're asking, what is an emergency fund? Basically, it's money for emergency. That is what it is. And what that means, technically, we recommend to keep 3 to 6 months worth of your living expense. So not your salary, your living expense. Number 4 is establish a financial defensive strategy. So number 4 is you want to make sure that you have a financial defensive strategy. What do I mean by that? I mean that as you're investing, that's attack. There's also defend. So what does that mean? Things like your income protection. You want to look at things like your life insurance. Are they in place? You don't want something to happen. Let's say someone falls sick and you now need to sell your investments to, and it might be a time when the market is down. You now need to sell it. No, if you need the emergency fund, use it. But if you have your income protection, which is basically money you get paid, if at some point you're not getting an income because you're unwell or anything like that. I don't want us to go too deep into income protection so that we can cover the rest of the stuff. But what I'll say is that we have a full guide on income protection. If someone from my team will share it in the chat, and again, if you need it and you haven't seen it, you can chat in the chat box, send a message, and someone will get it for you. So have a guide, life insurance and income protection for doctors. It's also on MoneyWise Doctor homepage. So it's one of the guides you can actually go through and walk through, income protection, life insurance to understand it clearly. If you bring out 10 minutes, you can understand clearly what you need, what you need to buy. You want to make sure that you're not over investing or sort of putting too much money in insurance. Now, number 5 is eliminate high interest debts. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I've already explained to you. If you have high interest debt, credit card, I mean, at some point when I was thinking, oh look, interest rates were so high, I'm thinking, oh, we're going to buy a car and another car. Then you look at the interest rate, I'm thinking, no, why do I have to pay somebody 12% interest? It's quite difficult to get like guaranteed 12% from a zero risk investment. I mean, with the stock market, for instance, last year S&P 500 returned 25%. In our own investment portfolio, we did quite all right. We returned 87%. So we've had quite good returns in previous years. And those of you in the community have shared some of my results and shared the screenshots and all that. Obviously, in the 4 weeks program, we're also going to go through my portfolio. So this is very important. You want to eliminate high risk debt. This is one of the 7 steps. Then we talked about defining your clear investment goals. Again, this is one thing that we talk about. You want to understand what type of investor are you? Are you a value investor like me? Value investors, we get very happy when the market is, we're not sadists, but when the market is down, we're able to find bargains easily. So value investors, my goal as a value investor is that I want to buy £1 for 50p. So like I gave an example when I bought Meta. I give an example because most of us know Facebook and we use it every day. Around 2022, November, it was down. People didn't like it because they thought the company made some decisions, their earnings dropped and all that, and they sold it. But when I looked at the company, looked at what we call fundamental analysis, and for those of you that attended the 4 weeks program last year, you understand fundamental analysis. Basically, I'm looking at their income statement. I'm looking at, not everyone has to do that, but basically, I'm looking at their cash flow, their free cash flow. And again, these are not rocket science. You're doctors, you're healthcare professionals. You can learn it. All right, so define your goals. The 7th step basically is educate yourself. So you want to educate yourself continuously. You don't just want to, just let it go. When I say educate yourself, I don't mean you need to follow Financial Times and know what is happening all the time. But there are 3 simple ways you can keep up to date and keep financially fit without having to spend too much time. One of them is what you're doing now. So I say attend at least 1 financial seminar every year. At least 1. You can do more, but at least 1. As a doctor or healthcare professional, you can attend 1 financial seminar every year. That already helps you to sort of be thinking about things. Like this year, you might be thinking about investing, but in 20 years, I've met a lot of doctors. I spoke in Mansag event now, and one said to me, "Doctor, I've made a lot of money already. I'm just thinking about trust, how to protect my money, how to make sure that the government doesn't take like 40% of my money for inheritance tax." Like some of you don't know that if someone dies, basically, the government could actually, there's inheritance tax falls immediately, 40% of what you own, if your assets or your estate is over £325,000, and for couples it's £500,000. So that's inheritance tax, 40% of it. So that's why we teach things like, if you're going to take life insurance or anything like that, let's say you have a life insurance policy of £500,000 and you have a house that is £200,000. Already your estate is looking at £700,000. Don't forget the pension. In October last year, I made a video about the changes that the Labour government chancellor brought in. Your pension now is part of your estate. So if you have a pension of 400k, guess what? The government says, "Oh, that's part of your estate. Can we have 40% of that?" Of course, that's if the person dies before 75. Sorry, if the person dies, if you die before 75, it's fine. Your pension is not part of your estate. But if the person lives up to 75 and dies after 75, unfortunately, now their pension is now part of their estate, which is very funny. Can I give you an example? My dad is quite healthy at 75. He's visiting me now, which is great. But let's assume he doesn't have a pension. Let's assume he had a pension or something. And I say it creates some ulterior motives there. I'm not saying that people are going to start thinking, will it be better for my parent to go now that they're 74 so that their pension doesn't fall into inheritance tax? So basically, if you keep up to date with one seminar or webinar or event or conference on finance per year, one book, and if you're thinking of books to start, there are 12 books I've recommended you can start from. Last year I did 57 or 58, I can't remember. But you don't have to do that. You can do one book every year, one good solid financial books. That means that in the next 10 years, you've read 10. If you read 10 solid financial books, it's hard for a financial salesperson that calls themselves a financial advisor to confuse you or sell you into products that don't make any sense. And number 3 is one, I think is the most important one. Follow a newsletter or a podcast or a website or even an Instagram page. But I think like newsletters and podcasts are more serious, basically, because they allow you to, go into details and understand what's going on. So follow a newsletter or podcast 10 minutes per week or something, just to know what's going on. Like today, the government has announced the new inflation figures have come out from the Office of National Statistics. You might not know about that. Like some of you are just hearing for the first time that your pension is now part of your estate. Is there someone that's just hearing that for the first time? Can you give me a thumbs up? Did you all know about it before? Okay, a few people here. Okay, yeah. Every room I go to, like if I mention this, people are always surprised. I can see, quite a few hands have gone up there. So, but that's something that is really quite crucial. Because basically you're working hard, but you're not just working hard for now, you're working for the future. And whatever salary you're being paid is not your full payment, especially if you're a salaried doctor. You're being paid for now, but you also have money that you're supposed to be paid in the future. It's called pension. So it's not a gift, it's your money. So knowing what happens to that money is also important. So basically, these 7 steps, making sure you're tax efficient, setting up yourself, basically your defensive strategies are all quite key before you even start going into investing. Right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause at this point and I'll take a couple of questions and then we'll go to the other aspects of the seminar, like approaches to investing. Well, I hope you found that helpful. And more importantly, I hope it helped you to see investing in a new light. This is just a small section of what we cover in the full masterclass. If you'd like me to drop more of these clips, just let me in the comments. Comment invest and share this video as well with friends who may need to hear this. And if you are ready to stop winging it and guessing, guesswork is not good for investing. If you want to learn how to become a confident investor, to learn how to invest properly, check out our investing readiness scorecard with the links in the description. It will help you determine whether you're really ready to start investing and what you need to do before you even start thinking about investing to reduce the chances of you losing money. And until then, see you soon. Bye-bye.